Hello, everybody. Kristen Brown here. Okay, it says I'm live, but I have a problem with my camera, so I got to go like this. Did it fix it? Hold on a second. Let's see if that does it. I look a little bit fuzzy. Let me try this again. I don't know. It seems fuzzy to me, so hopefully that'll fix itself. Let me try it one more time. My friend says I need to get really close and then back up. I don't know what's going on. Maybe my camera's dirty. Let's try this. Okay, well, I guess that's okay. I already see people are joining the room, and I'm so happy to be here with you guys today. I hope my lighting is okay. I have a really important. Oh, hi, little iodine. Hey, you're joining right from the beginning. I hope you have time to stay, and I hope my sound is better. I'm going to move my microphone closer. I discovered a setting that I didn't know was on here when I was about to click live, and it was a choice of which microphone that I wanted to be picked up. And turns out it was my webcam that was picking me up. So now hopefully it's my Yeti and I sound really super clear. And today, each week, it's just fascinating how spirit works because every week, or at least every other week, I have a theme. There's a theme that comes through my coaching business. There's a theme that comes through my personal life. And they're always congruent. It's really fascinating to me how this happens. And I guess I shouldn't be still shocked and in awe of it, but I'm always in shock and awe when it comes to the universe and God and the things that, let me try this light off. Maybe that makes me clearer. That's crap. Oh, I did get clearer. I'm excited to stay right here. Thank you, sister. Grab a cup of tea. If that lighting is okay, you guys, I'm just going to stay with this. I have several lights. Problem is my desk in my office is kind of in the corner and it's dark. So yeah, there you go. Now you can see my eyebrow hair. All right. So this is a theme that, like I said, I always have these things happen where I have these themes flow through my life. And if it's with one person, that's never a thing. If it's another person, that's another thing. But when it's like a consistent theme during the week, that is my indicator from spirit that this is something that I should get on a live and talk about because that means it's swirling right now in the energy for some reason and the people around me. And I want to shed some light on this topic because this is such an important topic and it is literally the wheelhouse. It is the core of what I teach is shame and unworthiness healing. And I came across that naturally as I did my own self-healing work and continue to this day. But back some 12 years ago, I went through the College of Kristen, as you guys know about, when I spent a time of concentrated study and introspection and working on myself. And I vowed to remain single and celibate during that time. And on the other side of it, I felt so much better. I was freer. I was happier. I was joyful. I was confident. I was neutral. I was peaceful. And I said, what changed? And what had changed was I had healed my inner shame and unworthiness that I didn't even know was there. Now, again, as with most things I talk about, things are on a spectrum. We could have just a little bit of this, or we could have a Mac Daddy crap ton of it. And wherever we're out on that spectrum doesn't really matter because the antidote is the same. So first, I want to get on here and talk to you guys about what it feels to feel shameful. Okay. And the reason why I'm using the word toxic shame, which, we use a lot of these words that are swirling around because people identify with them when they're a lot on social media, people grasp them quickly. So what toxic shame is versus just regular shame is actually just an emotion. It's just something that we feel when we've done something wrong, if we've made a mistake, and we're going to feel like a little shameful about it. We might be a little embarrassed about it. But regular, healthy shame just kind of comes and it goes. Like we feel it. We're like, we do the things to feel better about it. Hopefully, it's not a spiritual bypass where a person is ignoring it or pushing it aside because guess what? That's just going to fester deep inside. But hopefully, it's just, we recognize the thing, we forgive ourselves, and we move on. So, shame is actually a healthy, serving emotion, just like all of our emotions are, because we have this wonderful thing called the emotional guidance system, which is as important to us as any other system that we have, the respiratory system, the circulatory system, the neurological system, the skeletal system. All of the systems of the human body are absolutely purposeful. And the same is true for the emotional guidance system. It is absolutely, I'm going to move my light because it's right behind my camera. And so I'm getting that weird light glare in my, like, it's like I'm looking into the sun. Um, so it is a part of, it's a normal, it's the emotional guidance system is a very serving part of our makeup as a human being. We need it because it is our guidance. But many times we're not in the practice of paying attention to our emotions because of whatever reason that we've decided to repress them unconsciously because that was the brain's way of saving us in a situation, or that we suppress them consciously, we push them away and we ignore them. And the problem with doing that is that we are pushing away valuable information that is coming to us that can help us make better choices that serve us in mind, body, and spirit. So the feeling of shame of itself is not bad. And I don't want to call it negative, but shame on steroids, shame chronically felt, shame unhealed, shame that continues to fester, shame that continues to grow in strength is a problem. And I went like this, but it's really like this. It's a downward spiral because we have more shame and then we feel more shame and then we think more thoughts and then we feel more shame. And we just get darker and darker and darker and darker until we're this limited version of ourselves and we're not living our best lives. We are feeling like there's something wrong with us. Okay, so let me say the difference between shame and guilt. Guilt is I did something wrong. Okay. Guilt is I did something wrong. I'm feeling guilty for what I did. I'm sure many of you have felt that feeling. I have. I have for and being a recovering people pleaser, I can self-impose guilt on myself, or I in the past. I don't do this anymore. And that's my point of this whole live is that this is healable, you guys. You can get to a place where you can move in and out of shame and guilt super easily in a healthy way. But we do something wrong and we're feeling a degree of guilt about it. Totally normal, totally necessary. That's our guidance system saying, hey, course correct. That wasn't from your highest self. That's hurts yourself or somebody else. So let's decide differently next time. So guilt is I did something wrong or bad, where shame is I am something wrong or bad. It's saying to ourselves that we are fatally flawed, that we're broken. I hate the term broken, that we're broken or that we are undeserving of all good things in life. That's what shame can feel like. And if we have chronic shame, debilitating shame, what happens is that we'll have the feeling of we did something bad or we are something bad or we made a bad mistake and that means we're a crappy person. And then we'll feel dark feelings around that. And then those feelings are going to contribute to even more of those crappy thoughts, which will contribute to even more emotions. And boom, 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 boom. Pretty soon we are just walking around, most likely a state of depression, because depression is regretting the past. It's ruminating in the past in a negative way. So anytime we're ruminating on the past or we're focusing on the past or we're wishing things were different or regretting things that we did or whatever happened in our past, then um, that means that we are going to be in a state of depression. And the opposite is true for anxiety, not the opposite. What anxiety means is that we are fearing the future. We are replaying in our heads constantly what if scenarios, what if, and we are trying to control, and that is going to give us anxiety. So, one of the keys here, and this isn't the practices that I want you guys to have, but it's a great one to throw in here. And I promise you, this practice is never wrong in any scenario, in any way, shape, or form. And that is to practice being in the present. When we are completely present with where we are now, even if it's just I'm washing my hands or I'm making my bed or I'm brushing my hair, brushing my teeth, driving my car, whatever it is, when we are in the present moment, we cannot be in the past and we cannot be in the future. And that is where we find peace. But I don't want to go off topic there. First, I got a note. Um, oh my gosh. Okay, Julia. Hi, Julia. Hi, Julia. She said, hi, Kristen, just got an MRI done and need to see a neurologist. I think the constant stressful thoughts about the past and about myself for years caught up with me. And now I'm trying to turn over a new leaf. Girlfriend, every time you come to my stage, every time you share your heart with me, it just fills me with so much joy because this, my friends, is what it looks like to heal. It's going within, it's going within, it's going within and finding out what's happening. And Julia, best wishes to you, sweet girl. I I feel like you are on path. I'm just going to say this intuitively because our dense repressed emotions, and I've talked about this before, and I'm not the expert in this. This is Dr. Joe Dispenza work and Bruce Lipton and all kinds of other guys who've got all the scientific proofs to back it up, say that those emotions in our body that are held in there for years and years and years will show up in physical symptoms. So, and when you heal the emotional body, you can start to heal the physical body as well. I will tell you that I went through a stage where I had chronic activated nervous system. Like I was just in a state of basically it's fear. Okay. It's not like fear that I'm going to get killed or something like that, but it was stuff that was coming at me constantly from people in my life. And my nervous system was constantly activated. And out of the freaking blue, I developed heart palpitations. And they were big and they were all the time. And they, and in the middle of the day, it's my heart would go, blah, 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 and I'm like, what the hell? But I knew enough. I was like, this is out of the blue. I did not feel it was, and I'm not saying anybody, you need to go do your medical tests. Okay. That is not what I'm saying. But for me, I was like, I think this is something else. And I talked to God about it. And I was like, you're living in a state of fear. Your nervous system is activated all the time and is now showing up in your physical body. So, Julia, I love that. I don't think it's serious, sweetheart. You are just going to go in there and you are going to do your healing path. And you are going to start here because we do need to check the boxes. And you're starting with the medical doctor, but you've also said something. I think it's the constant stressful thoughts about the past. My thought to you, Julia, is this. I would like you, because right now you said you're thinking it. I would like you to get quiet in a meditation, really quiet in a meditation. Get yourself into a place of just, where you're floating, and likely you can use binaural beats as a background. You can just Google that, or I'm sorry, YouTube that. Binaural, if you don't know, it's BINAURL, binaural beats. And it has all kinds of things like focus, positivity, this, that, and the other thing. Click on one, put it on earbuds, get yourself into a very quiet trance-like state and ask God, where do I need to go from here? Because you are being guided 100% of the time. God is with you. God is with me. God is with everybody. This is universal energy. This is the quantum field. Call in and say, what is my next best step? Okay. So years of toxic thoughts yes. Can years of toxic thoughts be undone? And yes, that is why I titled, what did I title this, you guys? I can't see the title from my view, but I think I said it's 100% possible to release the shame of the past. Yes, this all can be done. Gosh, there's so many things I could tell you, but I don't want to go off there. So I'm going to say this, that I'm living proof of this. This is how we turn ourselves around. And this is what my self-love to soulmate masterclass is about. It's like, oh, self-love, it sounds really fluffy. But what it is we are resetting the foundation that we have been chronically thinking from. So we have been showing up in the world in this chronic state all the time because it is our programming. That's all it is. It's wired in to think like this. We have wired it in because we have practiced those thoughts so often that they become the most used neural pathway in our brain. Boom, 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 boom. However, Dr. Joe Dispenza, he will tell you all about this if you Google him and YouTube him and you listen to his stuff. I studied him like crazy, and it actually backed up the work that I had done. I didn't know about all this stuff when I was doing the work. But what happens is when you start to practice more empowered thoughts that are this way, okay, oftentimes it's a change in perception. I always say, you guys, a shift in perception creates a change in direction. So we're going down this same thoughts, same path, same actions, because the body follows the mind. So we're going to think this and we're going to act that. Constant, constant, constant content. Then we have a change in perception, something that's as true or truer. And we're like, oh, so then we start to think this way. That's where the pivot happens. And then when we practice this, guess what happens? This falls away. Dr. Joe will explain this to you neurologically how this happens. He literally says that these neurons steal the glue from these ones, and this one can't hold together anymore. And this becomes our way of thinking. All right. So this is how we think now. So I was looking up something prior to this and I was like, yep, this is the thing. And it was Brene Brown, and she was talking about, because she was a researcher in this area, and shame and vulnerability was her research. And she said that she interviewed, I don't know, probably thousands of people about this. And she said the people that were resilient to shame had a certain way of thinking. They had a certain automatic way that they handled their shame. And that's why it didn't stick. So, first off, this does not mean that you are fatally flawed because you have this way of thinking. I had so many ways of thinking that were disempowering to me, and they just kept me on the same path and the same choices and the same thoughts, same choices, same behaviors because we follow our thoughts. So I kept doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result, and it didn't happen. When it happened, my dear soul siblings, was when I started to take in new information and I felt the truth of this information. I was like, that's true. And I started to act on this new information. I pivoted and I started going down this thing. And I'll just tell you this real quick before I go on is that I caught every disempowered thought I had regarding a certain subject matter in January of 2011. This is 2023. It's 12 years ago, right? 2023, 12 years ago. It feels like it was freaking yesterday. But I had such a state of stress and anxiety that literally my lip one day curled up like this while I was driving down the road. It just moved up by itself. And I was like, what the heck is happening? And my heart was pounding throughout the day and all these physical symptoms. Well, the body can't maintain that for very long. And this was just another indicator that, something was not right. And so I knew, I'm like, okay, my thoughts are creating my emotions. My emotions are showing up in my body as stress and anxiety. And I need to go to the core, to the root cause of this, which is the thoughts. So I literally, you guys, and I kid you not, every time I felt anxiety, I said, what are you thinking, Kristen? What thought just passed through your head unnoticed? And I caught it. I'm like, it's that one. And I said, okay, is that thought true? No, that thought can't be true. Can you absolutely know that that thought's not true? No, that's not true. Okay, what's a more empowering thought that is as true or truer? And I got this work from Byron Katie. If you don't know who Byron Katie is, I highly recommend you look her up. She has thework.com where she has this 4 questions that you ask yourself and a turnaround statement. So I asked myself these questions. No, this was not true. One of the questions was, no man will ever want, I'm sorry, one of the disempowering thoughts was, no man will ever want me. And there was a whole slew of them, but this is the one that I readily can recall. And I thought, well, is that true? No man will ever want me. What a terrible thought, right? That's a terrible thought. I would never say that to somebody else. And I was like, no, that's not true. I mean, that's ridiculous. There's at the time almost 7.7 billion people on the planet. 7.7 billion people on the planet. And Kristen Brown is so special from all the other people on this planet that no man's going to want her. I'm a very logical person, and this is where the logical brain comes in because I was like, that's freaking ridiculous. And I knew it. I'm like, oh, come on, Kristen, that's ridiculous. And I thought, okay, well, what is a truer thought? I'm like, there's probably hundreds of thousands of men that'll want me out of 7.7 billion. There's a lot of people out there. There's a lot of, I've never had a problem attracting men. And I knew the thought wasn't true anymore. So anytime that thought came in, I literally looked at it and I said, you're a lie. And I'm choosing not to believe you. But you guys, this is where the rubber hits the road. All right. We can listen to things over and over and over again, and we can feel good for a moment. But until we rewire and retrain and think in a different way, we're going to keep going down that, what I call the Hershey Highway. We're just going to keep going down that Audubon. All right. So it takes intentional practice to catch yourself in these moments and say, what am I thinking? What am I believing to be true? And then asking ourselves, is this true? And then if you go, yes, it's true, then you say, can I absolutely 100% know that this is true? Now, the ego is going to want to kick in here. It's going to want to kick at you and it's going to, of course, it's true. You know, it's true. It's going to try. The ego is the loud voice over here. And if you're hearing this loud voice say it to you, then you know it's even more not true because it's derived of the ego and the ego lies. Because the ego is fear. That's all it is. It's fear and lies and control. Okay. There's no truth over here. Zero truth over here. The truth is over here in your God higher self. So the truth is, the capital T truth is, of course, someone would want me. And it took me, you guys, I want to say I did this consistently and and I would say consistently 24 hours a day because, of course, I'm sleeping, but the other times I'm with other people. But let's say I was having dinner with the family and I started to feel small and yucky. I would say, "What are you thinking, Kristen?" And I would stop and I would make note of that thought. I'm like, "Okay, you're going to work on that thing." And by doing this consistent practice, I kid you not, this is no exaggeration. I always say hand to God. My husband laughs at me because he's always like, hand to God. But may lightning strike me down is the other thing I say. If I'm lying, I'm like, within 48 hours, the anxiety was gone. Gone. Because the anxiety was caused by these disempowered thoughts. And I took the time to look, to notice them, recognize them, because my life was on the line here. My life, my heart, my body, my mind. And guess whose lives were also on the line because of mine? My children's. And I was like, I got to figure this out because I could not be a good mom in this state. There's no possible way that I could be a good mom in this type of state. Okay. Or the depression state. Excuse me. Okay. Hope I have enough water in there to get through my live stream. All right. Within 48 hours, my anxiety was gone. Gone. And I remember going, what the hell? Like, that's why I noted it was 48 hours because I said, okay, note to self, what happened? How long did this take? And I was like, okay, I started that on Monday and it's Wednesday. It's been 2 days. The anxiety was gone. However, the thoughts still persisted. And it took me about 2.5 weeks to that section of thoughts, because that was all about dating and relationships and men and marriage and all that. That block of thoughts stopped coming at about 2 weeks. That was healed. It was gone. And they never came back. They never came back. That block of thoughts, okay? Now, the reason why I'm being specific about that block of thoughts is because that was in one subject area of my life. That's what that was about, okay? But as I moved through life, other blocks of thoughts came in about other things. Like I've told you guys before, public speaking. I had a lot of thoughts about public speaking and, am I good enough for this or whatever, all those type of things. And so I had to work on those block of thoughts because they're all lies. Okay. If it's not of God, source, spirit, universe, higher, the quantum field, then it is a lie. Okay. So I want to move forward in what chronic shame feels like. So I started off this broadcast saying that there's these themes that arise in my life. And it's not just from one person. It's not just from a couple of coaching clients. I'll start to see it everywhere in my life. Like it just creeps up out of nowhere. And all these people will have the same type of thing running in them. And that is always my indicator to go on some type of post. So either I post a video, I post a live, I get on wisdom, whatever it might be, and I talk about this thing. And likely this is such an amazing topic that I'm probably going to do a wisdom talk on this as well. I don't know when. And that's the other thing is I don't plan my talks. And I did ask you guys in the community tab. I said, "Hey, would you guys be better? Would you uh, appreciate it better or like it better if I planned my talks?" And everyone's like, I think I said yes or meh, I don't really care. And the majority was meh, I don't really care, which is good. That works for me because I like to function on inspiration. I have a lot swirling in my life. I have a lot of moving parts in my life. I guess you could say nothing bad, but I like to find those places in time where I can really dedicate and devote myself to and not have to feel rushed. So shame, chronic feelings are feelings of chronic shame are going to make us feel like we're flawed. We're fatally flawed. There is something wrong with us. Remember, because guilt is I did something bad, shame is I am something bad. Okay. So we're going to feel like we're fatally flawed. We're broken. There's something wrong with us and we're undeserving. It also carries feelings of embarrassment and humiliation. Okay. Now, I am not currently carrying around feelings of chronic shame and about one particular thing. But as I was going through my healing journey, there were a couple things in my life where I was like, "Oh my God, I'm so ashamed of that." And I didn't use the word shame, which is really interesting. Shame wasn't really in my language at that point. I knew what it meant and stuff. It just wasn't a word I used a lot. It was embarrassed or humiliated or just small or, oh my God, I will never tell anybody about that type of feeling. And that right there, my friends, is one of the biggest mistakes we can make with shame is that we become silent, we become secretive, and we become judging. That's what shame is. Okay. It keeps us silent, it keeps us secretive, and it keeps us self judging. Okay. So the silence of it means we're not bringing it to the light. We're not talking about it. We're not sharing it with people. We're keeping it all inside. So again, until we know better, we're keeping all of this inside and we're just keep pushing it under the surface. It's like a beach ball we're keeping under the surface. It takes a lot of pressure to keep that down. If it creeps up, we're like, oh my God, no, I don't want to look at that again. And then we could do things like do drugs, drink, become a shopaholic, become a workaholic, anything we can do, chronically binging movies. Anything that we could do that we are hyperfixating on to avoid those feelings. Okay. Because shame is not a pleasant feeling. Okay. But like I said earlier, all feelings are serving. So it's bringing up something inside of you for healing. That's all it is. Okay. It's not here to make you feel bad. It's not here to ruin you. It's your internal guidance system saying, hey, I want you to thrive. And that decision that you made over there, or those thoughts you are thinking about XYZ over here, are not serving you. Okay. So let me bring this feeling up for you, which, by the way, you guys, you know what an emotion is? A chemical. That's all it is. It's a chemical in the brain that's alerting us to something. Okay. So when you look at it, break it down like this, you're like, okay, shame is just a chemical. Yeah. It's just telling you that you're ruminating on something, that you're thinking this thing, that you're staying stuck in this arena for so long, and it's wreaking havoc on you, on your system, on the way you're showing up into life. So it's important to know that when this shame arises for you, it is there for you to heal and to take to the light. So when you're keeping it a secret, when you are staying silent about it, that means you are self-judging. And we all know what self-judging feels like. It's the pits. Self-judging feels like crap. Okay. Again, it's all the feelings. We're not good enough. There's something wrong with us. All of the things that are keeping us stuck. And that's the most important thing here is, why do we need to look at our shameful places? Because it will unconsciously keep us stuck. Because think about it. Can you live your best life when you're feeling fatally flawed? Can you live your best life when you feel like there's something wrong with you, or that you're bad, or that you're undeserving? All right. There's so many times people are in situations where their best life is right there and they're looking at it. It's like they're looking through the window, right? Looking at the best life in the window. You know how you see this in movies all the time, where a little kid looks in a window and they want that baseball bat, or they want that mitt, or that jersey, or that puppy, or whatever it might be, and they just can't have it. That's how it feels when we have shame. We're looking at the outside world. We're peering through that window in the store, and we're like, I want that, but I'll never have it. I can't have that because I'm not good enough. There's something wrong with me. I don't have what it takes. All of those things are lies. Okay. So let's talk about how shame takes root, because this is really important in the undoing of the shame. So shame takes root for two reasons. One, it's something that we do that we feel bad about, that we're embarrassed about, that our higher self knows that we shouldn't have done. Maybe later, because at the time, obviously, we thought it was a good idea. Or maybe we didn't even think it was a good idea, but we thought nothing about it. We just followed our automatic reflexes. And a lot of times we do things that promote shame in us. Ready, drum roll here, because of the hidden unworthiness already inside of us. Okay, we're looking in the outside world for love, approval, acceptance, attention, whatever, validation, whatever it might be. So we do things that are not of our makeup in hopes of that instant gratification of that thing. Okay. But then after we do it, we're like, ew, I shouldn't have done that. Now, remember, we're already feeling like unworthy. Then we do something like that and we're piling shame on top of it. Now we're walking around with an 80-pound backpack. And that's heavy. It's heavy. Shame is a heavy, heavy emotion. All right. So it's either something that we did, or it's something that we were born into, or something that was done to us. Okay. So let me break that down. I had a coaching client. My gosh, this was a long time ago. Don't even remember her name. Beautiful girl, wonderful girl. She was a musician. And as we started working together and breaking things down, we discovered what was really holding her back. And that was that, and I don't judge this, she does, that she was raised in a trailer park, that they were very poor. Now, to look at her, you would never see that. She was dressed beautifully. She was gorgeous. She was a musician, but she carried around this heavy weight of shame that there was something wrong with her because they lived in poverty when she grew up. And if I remember correctly, again, many years ago, if I remember correctly, there might have been some emotional abuse by the parents too, maybe even physical abuse. I can't remember. All right. But here's this woman that's absolutely glorious. She walks into a room. She's a performer on a stage. She belts it. Her voice was gorgeous. She played guitar and she had this amazing following. And she inside felt like a piece of crap. And that, even though she was able to share her gifts with the world, that is what stopped her from having healthy relationships. She kept replaying the same relationship with the same partner over and over again. And then she'd get out because it was bad. And then she'd go back because she thought, I can't get any better. This is as good as it gets. And then they'd break up and she'd get out and she'd go back in. And that was the reason why she reached out to me. Hold on. It was because why can't I break away from him? And I understood completely. And that's why we started digging in this department. Oh, my hair's flat because there is something that is holding us back. And so when we found that thing, here's what's interesting. And this is another point I want to make, y'all, is that when we found that thing, I could see her, like she spoke it because I asked the right questions that promoted it. I'm like, here we are. This is it. Right on. Rock and roll. We got it. But her shame was so great that she started to shrink. And she was a consistent client, but then I think she lasted I'm guessing maybe 3 more sessions after that. So we never got to have the breakthrough because this is another drum roll moment because our hidden shame stops us. The shame of our shame stops us from healing. Our shame stops us from healing our shame. Does that make sense to you guys? Guys, tell me if that makes sense to you over here in comments. Say, yes, I understand what you're saying. If not, I want to explain that again. And also, thank you for everybody who's in this room. And if you guys would feel free to give me a little thumbs up if you're liking what you're hearing. It's your call. It's your free will. That helps the algorithms and things like that. And I would really appreciate it. So your hidden shame is what stops you from healing your shame because it feels so terrible. God forbid you share it with someone else. Oh my God, I can't talk about this. This is the worst thing in the planet. I'm already judging me. So I'm going to project into the world that other people are going to judge me too. And what did I preface her story with when I was about to tell you that she was raised in a trailer park in poverty? I said, okay, ask a question, Julia, if you need me to clarify something, please. She said, yeah, I think so. I prefaced that with saying, this is her beliefs, not mine, because I could give a rat's patootie where someone's raised. All right. We don't get to choose our story. We don't get to choose our histories, but we do get to choose the person that we become. And I don't care. I know some of the most, if you guys know the people that I know and the stories and the crap that these people have been through and the most glorious human beings that I'm so proud and honored to call my friends, I could give a crap where they came from. I care about who they have become. Okay. So she was carrying around these horrible, dense feelings about how she was raised and how she felt probably at the time. I remember this. It was like she felt it at the time because she, again, was looking into the outside world and Bobby Joe and Cynthia and Amanda and Rebecca didn't live like this. So she's like, I'm the bad one. I'm the one that's sticking out. I'm the one that's not lovable. I'm the one that's not worthy. And she developed so much shame about how she was being raised or her environment that even though she did move through life, she carried that around with her and it was inhibiting her from having the best relationship. Okay. It was her judgment of self. But many times we want to project our judgments of self onto other people. So the shame that we are carrying around actually projects onto other people, and we tell a story in our head about what these people are going to think about us, and it keeps us even more small because we haven't even given anybody a chance. Okay? We haven't given our story airtime. And I'm going to get into that because I have a whole list here. Actually, 5 things to heal. I might even change the title after I post this to say 5 steps to healing. And they're not even steps, they're things you can implement because they're not like in an order. It's just things that you can implement to heal this. So I wanted to talk about the term shame on you. I don't know about you guys, but my mom, when we were growing up, if we did something, she'd go, shame on you. And of course, I don't know what shame meant. So I was like, okay. But I remember, I guess we did something bad because she was saying shame on us for whatever it is that we did. And she wasn't saying it in a loving tone. So apparently it was something bad, right? But I'm like, shame on me. Okay, did something bad. But the reason why people say shame on you, oh, let me get to this point too. I wanted to bring this up. If I don't know if you guys are Game of Thrones watchers, but if you are, then you'll remember the particular scene where Cersei, who is this nasty old queen, she was nasty, mean as can be, and Cersei was and had been in love with, and he likewise, her twin brother. And they were having a sexual relationship and it yielded 3 kids. Okay, so, but anyway, long story short, this starts to come out. And then I don't remember the people, but a religious sect of people made Cersei do the walk of shame. And they basically walk you through the town naked. Okay. I'm going to talk about that little iodine. Made her walk through the town. This is the queen of King's Landing. Made her walk through the town completely naked, and they're throwing tomatoes at her, and people are just making all these crass comments and everything. And the whole time, there's some type of religious woman in like some sort of cloak. It wasn't a nun, but it was, some type of, it was that kind of that school marm, knuckle cracking type lady walking behind her, ringing this bell, going, shame, 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 shame. Why would this be the punishment? Right? Why would this be the punishment? Because shame feels so bad that to have someone walk through town naked, ringing the bell, going, shame, shame. And we joke about it now in our household sometimes, we're like, shame, shame. We say it in a joke because I don't say shame on you to people. I would never put that on somebody. But anyway, because people, we do our own self-imposed guilt and shaming. We don't need people to put that on us, and put that in your head, okay? But if you're dealing with someone who did you wrong and it's someone you love and they love you and you basically have a good relationship and they do something, believe me, if they have any sort of awareness, they are walking around with already their guilt and shame. So you trying to put that on them even more could potentially stop the healing. So that doesn't mean you condone what they did. It doesn't mean you ignore what they did. And it doesn't mean you don't have your feelings around what they did. But to try to force that on them when they already feel bad is actually going to put a block in the healing. So just keep that as a side note. But anyway, why would this be the punishment in King's Landing? Why would this be the punishment? Because shame feels so bad. So to publicly humiliate somebody like that, they're hoping this person's going to feel so bad that they're going to stop doing that particular behavior, right? Now, mind you, Cersei didn't love it. Okay, she's kind of ducking her head and doing her things and whatever, and her feet are all bloody from walking on the cobblestones to the castle and all this. But then she gets in there and she's like, it didn't change her. Right? She didn't give a hoot that she had to do that. She didn't like it, but it didn't change her. She was going to still do that thing she was doing. But that's not the point. The point is that it typically will work for people. And most of the time we're doing it to ourselves. So keep in mind that shame can be self-imposed because we're judging ourselves for something that we did, or shame can be imposed upon us by someone saying shame, shame, or shame on you, or, putting us down, making fun of us when we've made a mistake and trying to make us feel. We're choosing the feeling, you guys. I have to put that out there because we choose the way we respond to people. All right. As kids, we can't because we're powerless and our brains aren't fully formed yet and what have you. But at some point we take on the belief that there is something wrong with us and we're bad. All right. And that's gonna wreak havoc on our confidence. That's gonna wreak havoc on our worth. It's gonna wreak havoc on our belief that we can have better in life or that we deserve better. Deserving is a huge thing. All right. If we are walking around with a degree of shame and unworthiness, there's going to be this feeling of we don't deserve. That's literally what it feels. I just don't deserve better because I'm bad. I'm bad. So, the thought of even having better is not going to work for me. So I'm just going to stay right here in this limited space, in this limited self, in this life that I don't like, or this person that I don't like, because I don't feel like I can have any better. It's a terrible feeling. It's a terrible feeling. Okay. So moving forward, I want to read Little Iodine's comment. I totally relate to the musician. I am one. Are you a musician? And I had all those same thoughts. Great subject. You guys, shame can come, it can come within cultures. Okay. It can come. Do you guys remember the movie Fat Girls? PHAT, Fat Girls. Okay. It's like a hip term. The movie started off, it was two Black women and they were in America. And one was slender in figure and the other one was bigger and beautiful. That's my son calls big and beautiful. Okay. And while they were in America, the one that was slender was getting all the attention and the one over here was not, from their culture. But then they went to another country and the one that was slender was the one being made fun at, and the bigger woman was the one that was coveted. Okay. So this could even happen within cultures. Like they can shame you because your size, they can shame you for your color, they can shame you for whatever. Okay. People, curly hair. I mean, we can get shamed for a lot of things. And then we think there's something wrong with us and that we have to be like everybody else in the world. Okay. So shame can come from a lot of reasons. Okay. We either self impose, it is something that I'm sorry, what we were born into, some type of circumstance we were born into. It can also be from things that have happened to us. And trigger warning, trigger warning. Okay. I'm going to talk about sexual abuse. Many times when people have been sexually abused, they feel a lot of shame about it. They feel like they caused it. They feel like it's their fault. And they're carrying this around with them for decades. And it is inhibiting them from living their best life because there's a cap on the ceiling that they can't get past. Shame is like this. I don't know. The way I just pictured it was like a 6-inch thick steel plate or concrete. You just can't get past it. Okay. Again, I need to make this very radically clear. Timestamp here, 43:01 minutes. Timestamp. Very radically clear that no matter what you were born into is not your shame. Okay? You had no control of that. That wasn't your decision, nor does it indicate your level of worthiness. Money, looks, stature, car, finances, level of education, all that stuff, throw it out the window. You are a divine spark of God, and you are just as worthy as everybody else. Period. That does not change. That will never change. That is from here into eternity. Those things do not determine our worth, although we think they do because we're young and we're getting these messages from the outside world that everybody's getting a new car and I'm driving a clunker. There must be something wrong with my family. I'm not rich or whatever it might be. Or she's got all the great Guess jeans. I'm an 80s girl. That Guess jeans were the thing. And I don't. Or this one's got the bigger boobs and I have no boobs, whatever it might be. Okay. And we can shame ourselves into thinking there is something wrong with us. But then we carry that around, and that's a very low level of vibration. Okay. So we're going to likely attract people to us that are going to exploit that, because that is also going to contribute to people pleasing, because we're going to keep wanting to do things to try to make other people's happy, to make up for what we believe is a deficit in our worth. Okay. Now, I know these things aren't healed overnight. I know that this takes practice, But it was these type of perception shifts that shifted my life. So I am going to get into how we heal this, but I want you to let these things sink in that I'm not just blowing hot air here. I'm living testimony, I'm living proof to what doing the work does. Okay? So the first thing is that you're not your history or your story. So I've talked much about the history, but a lot of times people are basing their present day worth on the story of the past. Okay? Let's stay current, guys. Who are you today? Who are you today? Does any of that have a bearing on you? Think about people who have been incarcerated for some type of crime and they have some sort of come to light, come to Jesus. They realized what they did. They have a huge radical perception shift. And then they go back out into society and they're dubbed felon. And I'm not saying this is wrong. I'm not judging the way society does this, but they're carrying around the heavy weight of that, or they have a choice to. So they can either do the work to heal that shame so that they can rise up no matter what their history, or they can sink into that. And guess what would happen? Likely, they're going to become a repeat offender and maybe in a different area. Okay. It may not be the same area. Okay. But that's going to happen because that's going to promote them to do things to try to feel better about themselves, to get the love, approval, acceptance, attention, and validation that they crave. So they're going to likely do things that they wouldn't do if they were in a great place to get those things. Does that make sense, you guys? I think it does. All right. You are not your history and you are not your story. All right. That's the first thing. The second thing is that we must look at these things as a mistake if we in fact did something that we're feeling bad about. Okay. Again, what people did to you is not yours. That is not yours. I need to go off on that for a minute because your lips are moving, but no sound. What? No sound on and off. Can you guys hear me? Tell me if you can hear me. I do have people in the room. Nothing's changed on my end. I'm not sure. Oh, I hear you. Li, it could be on your end because Julia hears me. So maybe you want to check and see if it's happening over there. But thank you for letting me know. I'm glad I glanced over there. All right. So if you have been perpetrated upon, right? Something has happened to you. You have been preyed upon by someone. I won't get into all the details. You didn't do that. Okay. That person, likely that grown ass person, made a choice to do something to you. That's on them. That's on them. That's their karma. That's their energy. That is on them. There is nothing that says that you did something wrong. Okay. We do not invite perpetrators to do stuff to us. All right. So it's important that you get radically clear about that things that other people do to you are not yours. The places that you were raised, the lifestyle you grow up in, the parents that you had, the experiences that were done unto you because you are a powerless child are not yours. The child is never responsible. And I get super amped up when I see parents trying to put adult things onto children. Because you know why? Because I know that child's brain can't carry this, can't hold it, can't heal it, doesn't know what to do with it. It just absorbs it and it becomes their programming. And then they grow up into an adult that's carrying this around and it's likely causing problems in their life in some dysfunctional way. And they can't live their best life until they realize that that's what they're carrying around. So this is why I talk about these things out in the world like this, because until we know about these things, we can't heal them. But once we know about them, we can apply the tools and practices to them, and we can heal this issue, guys. This is 100% doable. Earlier, Julia asked that. She said, can we heal this? Can we stop these thoughts? 100%. Okay, I'm going to take a pause before I go on to the next thing to read what's going on over here. Mary, I have 3 sisters and my parents have always favored them, and my confidence is so low around them. I'm the black sheep of my family, but luckily I married a great man and have a beautiful, amazing kids. All right. Oh, no. Okay. Mary, have you watched my video titled Sacred Rebels, Truth Tellers, and Black Sheep? If you haven't, it's a live stream, and I encourage you to go over this for exactly or go over there and watch it. You can click on the live tab on my home screen, and it'll be in there because this is what I talk about this exclusively in there. All right. When you're saying the black sheep as if it's a bad thing, but I'm kind of thinking that you might be the black sheep for a good reason. So I would love for you to go over there and check that out. But I do love that you attracted an amazing man and that you have beautiful, amazing children. I'm so happy for you. And yeah, so when those type of things happen to us and our confidence is low around them, I would like to see you understanding what's really going on here and to understand that you're not the problem. Okay? Because anytime a parent is favoring, that's a problem. All right? Um, I don't know what's going on with the sisters. I don't know the details in that, but I highly encourage you to go over and watch that video and leave a comment. Let me know what you think about it, unless you already have watched it. So many of you comment on so many of my videos. I forget who sees what. Might be worth a replay if you haven't, but I address that in that. Okay, what do we got here? Oh, Julia and little iodine. Thank you. Thank you, Mary. And thank you for your comment. I really appreciate that. You guys are just talking about the internet connection. Okay. So now putting all that aside with, us being perpetrated upon or the histories or the environments that we were brought into, that we had no choice, we're babies and we're brought into this environment. None of that's on us. What's on us, maybe, is if we've made a mistake. Now, I'll say maybe it is on us, but okay, let me reword that. What's on us is mistakes we made, okay? Because that's come from our choice, and we made decisions that they may have been a mistake, or they just might have been embarrassing, or they might have been humiliating, whatever it might be. But here's what I want you to know about that. And I love this because there's a family member I have that I absolutely adore, who I've coached for a while. So it's extended family, and this person says this all the time. They will actually call me up and say, "Hey, I was having this thought about this, and this is what I've done, and I feel so much better," because they consistently practice this. And I've watched this person soar like it's mind blowing. All right. And here's what it is: I did the very best I could at the time with the level of healing, knowledge, and experiences I have had up until that point. I did the very best I could at that time with the level of healing, knowledge, and experiences I had up until that point. If something's going to let you off the hook energetically to yourself in a forgiveness type of way for making a mistake, that's it. And here's a reason for this. Amen, Julia says. Amen. And there's a reason for this. And that reason is because we do the very best we can in any given moment. Any given moment, we're doing the best we can. I'm doing the best I can right now with where I'm at. I had to take a nap earlier. I didn't sleep well last night. I was extremely tired. Went to lunch. And I'm like, I was going to get on a live about 1:30. And I'm like, I can't. I need to go take a nap. And I'm here now. I got my water. I got my microphone all hooked up because it's been wonky the last couple of lives. Figured that out. And I'm here now. And this is the best as it can be. I did lives 3 years ago on whatever, I don't know how long ago, Instagram or whatever. They were the best I could do at that time. I get on the wisdom channel. Some days they're flowing and wonderful and fabulous. And some days they're a little bit less, flowy. It's the very best I can in any given moment. And I don't judge me because I know that I'm doing the very best I can at any given time. Well, the same thing is true when we make a mistake. It appeared to be their answer in that moment. For whatever reason, instant gratification, trying to get our way, maybe manipulating, in hopes of feeling better, in hopes of some hit of approval, for some hit of love. Okay. I made so many mistakes, so many embarrassing mistakes when I was living in that arena, right? In the I'm not enough arena. And I felt like I needed to go and get attention. I made mistakes. And I would feel shame afterwards, like, oh my God, what did I just do? I can't believe I did that. I'd be embarrassed. And like most of us do, I would just kind of push it aside and not want to look at it and kind of ignore it over there. Okay. But then when I went through my healing work, guess what I ended up healing? The list. I went through the list. So initially, we might need to go through a list of our backstories of the things that we did because we want to clear it out. Clear, 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 clear. Get it all out. And then it becomes really manageable because when the thing comes in, we start to recognize that feeling right away. We're like, ew, I don't like that. And we go, okay, I know what to do now. And we forgive ourselves. We got to forgive ourselves, you guys. Yes, sometimes we've done things that have hurt others. And sometimes we have done things that have hurt ourselves. But the truth is that we are innocent, meaning each thing that we do, yes, there's sociopaths. Yes, there's psychopaths. Yes, they are planning and they are manipulating. And even narcissists can be conscious of the things that they do. Okay. But the majority of us are really trying to get some type of love, approval, and acceptance. And we do things that we're embarrassed about, or they have a fallout that we didn't expect, where something came from that we're like, oh my God. And we get humiliated and we start to shrink and our confidence goes away and we sit like this. All right. Oh God, my thing went away again. I hate it when that happens. This camera that I have, I can't move or else it does weird things. So let me try this again. Okay, ready? Did it fix it? It didn't. All right, let me try it again. My friend Daryl said to cover it up. All right. Well, we're just going to have to do it a little bit fuzzy for a minute. I'm almost done here anyway, you guys, but no, cancel. Okay. All right. So it's very important to understand that you did the very best you could with the level of healing, knowledge, and experiences that you had at that time. The way you're wired, that just promoted that. Understand that you are not fatally flawed. This does not mean you as a human being can't live your best life. It doesn't mean this at all. It means you're human. Okay. It means you're a human being because we're going to make mistakes. We're not perfect. It's not pretty sometimes. Sometimes there's fallout from it. Sometimes there is collateral damage from it. So if we need to make amends to people, we make those amends to people. And either we make them in physical presence or phone or whatever we can do, if possible, if it's not going to jack up their life for us to re-enter, or we do it energetically. I recently had a client do that. Many of my clients, I will say, reach out energetically because they're like, yeah, I don't really want to, talk to them. I'm like, no worries. Reach out energetically to them, write them a letter, put your whole heart into this letter and release it. Let it go. You don't have to give it to them, but it's important that you move that energy through you. Okay. The third thing, okay, was forgive yourself and learn from it. Okay. Oh, this is driving me nuts. Let me try this again. All right. You guys, you're like, Kristen, you're like a circus. I really am. I'm going to try closing my thing. That work? All right. It's just going to have to be a little fuzzy, you guys. I apologize for that. Live streaming, anything can happen. Okay, so learn from it. Oh, this is one of my favorite things. One of my all-time favorite things will shift your perception so fast. It will get you healing so fast. And this is, ready? What did I learn from it? What did I learn from that mistake? Okay, all mistakes are learning opportunities for us. So there is no failure. There is no mistake because the mistake was made because we didn't know any better. Does that make sense? Let that sink in. Yeah. Oh, I'm proud. Thank you. Little Iden said you're still pretty even fuzzy. It's probably better because it's like, getting rid of some of the stuff I got going on here, but I appreciate that. That's really sweet. So what did I learn from this? Anytime I had made a mistake, let's say I did something that was like, oh my God, humiliating. I shouldn't have done that. I'm embarrassed. I'm ashamed. And I start feeling that feeling. And if I just go, okay, Kristen, I forgive you. You did the best you could at that time. But what are you going to learn from this? And I'm like, I'm not going to do that again. Or I'm not going to have the mindset going into that situation again that promoted that behavior. Or I'm not going to put myself in that environment. Or I know it always goes wrong when I enter a situation like this. Whatever it might be, I learn from it. When we learn from it, you guys, we break the pattern. It's broken. And we get to do something different next time. I even have this little prayer. I think it's in my first book well, it's in my second book too, where I talk about forgiving yourself because I do talk about this. I'll probably talk about it in every book I ever write, forgiving yourself. In fact, I'm gonna write a book. It's just gonna say forgive yourself, and then the first only page inside is gonna say forgive yourself. All right, because it's that important. In the first book, I talked about A Course in Miracles, and there's a thing called the atonement where you recognize what you did, but you also know Buddhism calls it being in your wrong mind. So you're in your wrong mind or you're in your right mind. Now, this is Buddhism talking about this too, you guys, which is like one of the most peaceful religions, right? And A Course in Miracles was written from the foundation of inner peace. So the whole purpose of A Course in Miracles is to find your inner peace, all right? So when we recognize that we have done wrong, I give it to God. I say, I see my error because it's an error, right? I give the error away to God and I say, help me to return to my right mind so that I don't make this mistake again. Okay. But I let it go. You forgive yourself by knowing you did the best you could at the time, period. All right. The next thing is giving yourself grace. Giving yourself grace. What does this mean? This fuzzy is driving me nuts, you guys. Even though I'm looking at the camera. Oh, well. Giving yourself grace. This means allowing yourself to have a restart. Okay. Grace means understanding. Grace means holding a really soft space and saying, it's okay. Okay. Give yourself grace. We are learning here. The whole purpose here is to learn. The purpose is not to be perfect. The purpose is not to like come out and say, yeah, I'm perfect and I do everything right, or else we wouldn't be here. We came here to learn. We chose to come here to learn. So give yourself grace in the process because you're not supposed to be perfect. All right. So yes, we make mistakes, we course correct. We make mistakes, we course correct. I made a mistake the other day. I hadn't felt shame within. No one knew what I did. I did it within. And I thought, oh my God, I haven't felt this in a long time. I don't like it. I don't like it. I was like, this doesn't feel good. And I said, okay, you know what to do. And I did all of the things. And then I said, God, help me return to my right mind so I don't make this mistake again. All right. And then I let it go. If the shame came back in, I said no, because now it's my ego just hammering me. It's just trying to annihilate me and make me feel like I'm a bad person. And so when it came back in, I said, I've already dealt with that. Thank you. And I let it go. Now, if I hadn't dealt with it, I wouldn't do that, but I had dealt with it and I let it go. This is mindfulness. This is slowing down. This is being intentional in our spiritual practices so that we can heal. It's all doable, you guys. It's 100% doable. Give yourself grace in the process, the same exact way that you would give a small child grace for learning to feed itself or walk or draw or write or learn math. The same love and grace you give to somebody else, we need to give to ourselves. This is self-love, and it is the miracle cure. All right. This is the most important. This is a really important one too. All right. Share your story with someone you trust. Speak it, because shame cannot survive in empathy and compassion. Let me say that again. Shame cannot survive in empathy and compassion. A couple months back, I had a person right in that chair back there. It's my little coaching arena. Those are recliners, by the way, you guys. We kick back. We take off our shoes. Sometimes I roll around on the ground. It's all casual here. And this person had been holding something deep inside for so long, that when he finally spoke it, it was like somebody airbrushed his face. It was like the light, the glow, that filter glow that can come on, the filters and phones and stuff. I saw it like this, like happening in front of my eyes, the weight. You know what he did? He just spoke it. And he was met with compassion and understanding. And this almost probably identical, very close to conversation. He walked out of here like he was rebirthed. And this is what a rebirth is. When I looked back on my life and the healing that I did, I literally felt like the phoenix rising from the ashes because I was in the ashes. I was in the crap. I was there. And I chose to not be a victim of this and to do the work to heal it. And I say this a lot, you guys. The work itself is not hard. It's just very consistent. You got to be consistent. It's not hard. Okay. The hardest part is that initial breaking away from the ego because of the shame. And that's why I said earlier that shame stops us from healing our shame because the shame is so loud and so terrible feeling. We don't even want to look at it. Okay. But we got to look at it and then we got to speak about it so we can heal it. And it will heal. It will heal. It is 100% healable and fixable. And it is possible for you to rise into the confidence and live your best life 100% hands down. And it may not just be one area of your life that you're feeling shameful about. You could have things piled up on top of you. Could have been your upbringing. Could have been something that was perpetrated upon you. Could have been some decisions and mistakes you made based on your programming and your desire to get love, approval, and acceptance, whatever, or to control or to manipulate. Okay, it could be gossiping. It could be anything that we do from our lower selves can give us that feeling. Okay, but it's not there to stay. It's not supposed to stay. We're supposed to learn from it so that we grow. So to sit in it is basically to buck the plan, the whole purpose of being on planet Earth as a soul in an earth suit, in a human body. So by you sitting there, you're not okay, you're wasting time. You're not doing what you're supposed to do here. And I'm saying that lightly because I want you guys to get the feeling like you're thinking this is what's happening. Really, you're just supposed to learn from that. That's all that is. Learn from it, drop it, and move on. If you want another mistake to hold on to, you're probably going to make another one at some point in your life because we are fallible human beings. Okay? We are perfectly flawed and fallible. That's the whole purpose. So owning that and going, okay, that's what this is. This does not mean that I am fatally flawed, undeserving of love. No one's ever going to love me. I have to play small. I feel like a shriveled up version of myself. I've lost myself. I can't even stand up for myself anymore. I can't speak my truth. I used to be vibrant. I used to have this. I used to do that. Now I'm this little shriveled up ball. Okay. That's not the purpose of being here. Okay. And as Neil Donald Walsh said, I love this. Do you guys follow Neil Donald Walsh because he's so great? Conversations with God, author. But he said that he asked God in his conversations with God, he said, what do you want us to know about you? And God said, you got me all wrong. You got me all wrong. All these constructs that people think that God is not what God is. That's what I want you to see about shame. You got it all wrong. It's not to sit and ruminate in. It's not to sit and beat yourself up about. It's to learn from. And you know what's even more fascinating? Oh my God, I feel like, can you guys tell? I feel like I'm like going to burst at the seams, but I got to try this again. Come on. One last time. Okay, I know the key. I have to make it completely dark. That's the key. I just learned something. Here's the fascinating part too. When you learn from your mistake and you heal that shame, because once you learn, the shame will go away. Once you have empathy applied to the situation, the shame will go away. Now, this doesn't mean it's sometimes 100%, and I'm just real. Sometimes, you got a good 90% of it gone, but then you think about it one day. I've healed all my shame. The other day, I was thinking about something way back in the day. I mean, I was probably 18. Hold on. And I could not believe that a level of shame came across me. I thought that was gone. Now, it was just this big. 98% of it is healed. But I was like, okay, there's another layer. That's okay. Another layer. And I applied these things that I'm telling you, because Kristen Brown doesn't do any different work than I'm sharing with you. And I applied these things and it went away again. But I thought, isn't that fascinating? I did that work many years ago, and I just like spent some time thinking. Now, it's not running my life by any means. So might still be sometimes, there might be the cringe factor. Yeah, I did that. But it's not going to hold us down. It's not going to keep us from growing. It's not going to keep us from thriving. It's not going to keep us from living our best lives. It's not going to keep us from living in the understanding that God wants us to win. God wants us to win. Oh, and by the way, this might ruffle some feathers, but you don't need to be forgiven by God because that's built in the essence of love that God is. You've already been forgiven before it even happened. Okay. God's not going to send us here to make a whole shit ton of mistakes and then say, now I'm going to grant you forgiveness. Now, what kind of messed up gig is that? It's built into the essence of love, of unconditional love of God. It's already built in. Okay. So it's us that we need to forgive. However, when we bring it to God and say, I understand what I did, help me to perceive the situation correctly next time, help me to act from my right mind next time, we're actually inviting that loving essence and energy to guide us and to shift us. Because God is within us. All right. Now, I always say this like we're getting it somewhere. The truth is, we're accessing what's inside. Okay. And that gets complicated. So I'm not going to go there. So give your story airtime. Many of us will have at least one person in our life who we can go to. We can say, you know what? I want to unpack something. I want to leave this behind for good. I'm done with this thing. And if you go, I'm feeling really bad about XYZ, right? Whatever it might be. And that person goes, you were 17 when that happened. Would you do that now? And you're like, no, gosh, no. And they're like, why are you beating yourself up for something you were 17? Of course you did that. Don't you remember this happened and that happened and the way you were feeling during that time? People can bring things that we're not thinking about because all we're focusing on is the shame. I call it the I suck. I forgot. I haven't said that. I call it the I suck wound. That's just Kristen's language, right? If you look at the thumbnail says something like, and go grab life by the cojones. Okay. My mom was Spanish speaking, so you wouldn't know that looking at me. But yeah, she was a natural bilingual and she had a mouth on her. Loving woman, great woman. But anyway, that's what it is. We want to go grab life by the cojones, and we can't do that when we're walking around with this hidden shame. The energy we're sending to the universe is, there's something wrong with me. So guess what comes back? Experiences to reflect that to us. We got to put the wrench in this. We got to put the wrench in the gears, stop these wheels from turning right now, today, in this moment, because we're sending energy out, energy in, energy out, energy back. Whatever we're sending out is the experiences we're going to get back. So if we're sending about I'm not enough, we're going to get reflections of not enough. See what I'm saying? We got to heal that stuff inside of us so that we can raise our vibration. But not only that, our confidence raises because we're dropping the backpack. The backpack's off. When I did this work, I couldn't believe it was like gravity didn't exist. It was like I was floating around through life. Didn't care about anything because I wasn't carrying this stuff around. Now, as life went on, new experiences happened, new people came in, new lessons happened upon my life. I made more mistakes, those type of things, but then I just handled them as they came. Okay. I didn't let them build up anymore because now I knew better because I learned. Right? I think that's so important for you guys to understand. So remember that shame cannot live in the light. It can't. And it cannot survive within empathy and compassion. The secretiveness, the hiddenness, the silence, the not speaking of it, and the self-judgment is just going to fester and fester and fester and fester and fester and fester until it expresses in your life in some way, shape, or form, whether it be emotionally or physically, or reflection back to you from other people. All right, I want to read my notes because I love your guys' notes. Julia, your energy is comforting and lovely, Kristen, and your level of self-compassion and compassion is inspiring. I'm going to receive that, Julia, because I've done a lot of work to get me to this place where I can actually talk live on a public forum to people that I've never met in person. It's a lot of work. And I will tell you one thing that keeps me going. It is my desire to help other people heal. Because when I started this healing journey, I remember being like flabbergasted, like, we don't have to suffer through life. I mean, what? I had this complete perception shift and I wanted to get on the rooftops. And this is often the case for anybody who's had this type of awakening experience. If you're ever on Wisdom, you guys, I highly recommend you go to Wisdom. I'll talk about that in a minute, the Wisdom app. These are people that have gone through some ish and they've come out the other side. And you've heard of the term trauma bonding, and we talk about triumph bonding. So you want to go over there and you want to get more of this, what you're hearing here, go around the Wisdom app. Now, it's not every single person on there, but you find a talk that like this is happening, this energy is flowing, but it's because those of us, we can't not talk about it. And I've since learned that this is actually built into the architecture of our God self. And this is what helps perpetuate the species. Isn't that interesting? Because everybody I know who's had some type of breakthrough or awareness or whatever, they end up talking about it. And they want to talk about it a lot. And they want to share it with their friends and their family and the people and the stuff. And my mistake was that I wanted to share with anybody that was within 5 feet of me. So someone would come to me with their problem and I'm like, okay. And I'd start hammering them with all this information. They'd be like, they're not literally, but you could just tell they were like, whoa, bro. And then they would kind of avoid me later. And I was like, what happened? I mean, such a loving and compassionate person. They weren't ready. I was imposing on their free will because I was so excited to share this stuff. But I learned from that and I don't do that anymore. Right? That was a little embarrassing. It was a little humiliating going, oh my God, I used to like press into people's lives that would tell me something that's going on and say, oh my God, here's what you got to do. And they didn't want to hear it. That was a little embarrassing, but I learned from it. I was like, okay, I'm just not going to do that anymore. Because unless I'm invited, I'm not going to do it. And that's why these type of things, these live streams, videos, podcasts, the Wisdom app, here's what the deal is. No one stays that doesn't want to listen. Okay? Nobody stays. If you don't want to listen, you don't like it, they click out. All right? People are looking for certain things. And the seekers will receive the message because they're open. And that's why I always say soul siblings and seekers. First of all, soul siblings, we all are soul siblings. But seekers, they're people, you guys are seekers. Every single one of you that is in this room now has passed through this room and is going to listen to this on the replay are seekers. And seekers want to know. You're curious, you're questioning. There's a part of you that's going, there's got to be a better way. There's got to be a better way. Well, guess what helped my healing path? Was that. And the more I knew what I didn't know. And then I realized that this is endless. That I'm not enlightened Buddha, Jesus. No, I'm not. I have been enlightened in certain areas, but am I in that finished product of enlightenment? Heck to the no. But now I'm really open. I'm really relaxed into I will learn and take in information from anybody I know. I'm kind of going off on this, what Julia said, but my point to this is that my heart is what speaks to you guys. And that's what you are saying to me, Julia. And I appreciate that because that means my energy is being received by you. And I really super appreciate that. And I'm going to throw this little thing in here. You can't see what you don't possess. So my friend Julia, I can tell you right now, you are a very compassionate person because you would not be able to see that in me if you didn't have it. Okay. It's like you spot it, you got it. One of those things, right? Okay, so thank you for that. Little Ida, I needed this message so much. Thanks for the huge homework assignment. It is huge. Little Iodine cracks me up a lot. She's got a great sense of humor. But yeah, thanks for the huge homework assignment. Yeah, get it, girl. Because guess what? Here it is. You got to catch those disempowered thoughts. Even consider having open the note app on your phone or send yourself an email. I'll do that. I'll have a thought. And I'm like, what do I do with this thought? I don't want to lose this thought. I don't have anywhere to write it down. I'll send myself an email. And then I don't open it until I'm ready to address whatever that is. Send yourself an email. Write it down on a sticky note. I have notes all over my house. I stick things on my wall. You should see the wall behind me. You guys can't see it right now. I have a wall behind me with all kinds of things. My inspired mission. It says gratitude, love, certainty, and presence. I've got all kinds of reminders everywhere. I got a whole thing over here, right? All this stuff back here, if you guys can see that, these, besides like this plant and my first books that are right here, but these were all things that were given to me or made for me. So that's important. And, I surround myself with things that are reminders. And I do my very best to slow down enough that I recognize those things. Because if you guys have had this experience where you put up notes for yourself and the first day or two, you're like, excuse me, you're like, oh yeah. By day 5, you're like looking around the note doing your hair. You don't see the note anymore. I am one to take a dry erase marker and write on the mirror in my bathroom, right smack there. I can still see myself while I'm getting ready or brushing my teeth or whatever, but it's right there. And if it's a note, if it's something that I really want to integrate into myself that I need to read or hear a lot, I will write it on my mirror. And oftentimes I put it as a reminder in my cell phone. In fact, there's my reminder right now. Stay focused on your heart and intentions. Heart-centered intentions manifest as highly valuable in the world. And my other one is follow your highest excitement without insistence or expectations of the results. And that's from Bashar. Okay. So I will put things that I want to remember all around me because I'm going to get busy with life. I'm going to get in whatever mode or busy mode or whatever that I'm in that I forget. Okay. So keep this in mind too. This is going to be really interesting to you guys. You think I'm bringing all this new information to you, right? And it might be on some level. But when it comes to anything spiritual that I'm talking to you guys about, I'm just reminding you what you already know. Because you're God. You're a divine spark of God. You're a child of God. You already have this stuff. It's built into you. All right. So, but we can forget these things and we move away from these things. We need to remember these things. So even me who teaches this stuff, I'll be on the wisdom app and all of a sudden someone says something that I needed to hear. And I go, thank you for reminding me. I forgot about that. So that's what the ringing true is. When, let's say, it's not super in our conscious, but somebody says something and it rings true inside of us. We're like, because we have this inner truth teller, this inner truth indicator, or what's the word I'm looking for? Truth detector. Okay. We have that inside of us. So that's because it's already in there. So basically, it's like being brought to the light and you're going, oh, that rings true because it's already in you. So thank you for that. Yep. Oh, and Julia also said that that's a great paradigm shift. Yeah, isn't it? Like we're not doing ourselves any good by staying shameful. We got to learn from the lesson so we can grow. Otherwise, we're sticking our nose up at the whole purpose that we're here, right? Okay, you guys, does anybody have any more questions? I'm going to peruse my notes real quick to make sure I covered everything. All right. I write notes because my live streams are usually pretty long. They're an hour to an hour and a half. And I don't set an outline. I just kind of write things and I just let it flow naturally and however it comes out. But I want you guys to know that I am so grateful for you. You are part of the energy that I swirl around in. Okay. So your loving essence, just being on this live stream, we are connecting energetically from wherever we're at in the world. I would love to know where you give me a thumbs up over there or on the bottom or whatever it is for you guys. Let me know that you like this video. Leave a comment, or you've commented now, but you can also leave a comment after the live stream ends to help activate algorithms more. And if you have anybody in your life, a loved one that you want to share this with, I invite you to do that because that's actually being of service. And I listened to this whole thing this morning from Neil Donald Walsh and Mike Dooley about being in service. And Neil Donald Walsh actually said, and I'm laughing because he's so stinking funny. He said, there was a woman that kept talking about wanting to write a book. And he said, can I talk to you, brother to sister? And she said, yes. And he said, how dare you not write that book? And I just started laughing. He's like, this is your gift. This is what you're supposed to be sharing with the world. So I'm also going to invite any of you that might be some type of public figure or whatever, get on your live streams, write that post up, speak from your heart, because it is speaking from your heart. Like I said, keep yourself focused on heart-centered intentions. It is speaking from your heart that touches the hearts of other people and calls that like energy back to you, like Julia just so sweetly reflected back to me. All right, you guys. So thank you so much for being here. This has been a wonderful conversation. It does not feel like a Friday to me. It's like almost 5 o'clock on a Friday here in Arizona. And I'm like, this is weird. It just feels like a Tuesday. I could never get my days right. But I want to say thank you again for you guys being here. I really, really appreciate you guys so incredibly much. And I look forward to our next live stream. Julie, I think it was you that had a topic, which was law of attracting your ideal partner. And I have not forgotten about that. If you're still in the room, I just want you to know that I've not forgotten about that. I like to post energetically, like when I'm feeling it, and that's been in my brain, but it wasn't in my inspiration yet. And I'm like, okay, if it's not my inspiration, that is my indicator not to say that yet. So this shame topic was in my inspiration, and yeah, and it is absolutely going. Oh, maybe that wasn't you. Maybe it was another Julia. There was 2 Julias that were in here on another, you remember that? Okay, maybe it wasn't you, sister, but it could be the other one. Um, but yes, if the other Julia, Julia too, uh, is watching this, just know I haven't forgot about you, sister. I know it, and it's in my mind because it's one of my favorite topics. Out of water, it's a good time to go. Okay. Yeah, prob's the other one, but again, I would be interested to hear it. All right, you guys, if you guys so okay, now I got fuzzy again, so let's try my new trick one more time. Complete black. That didn't work this time. All right. I'm sure the others would too. Yes, yes. So thanks, guys, for being here. Have an amazing weekend wherever you are at. And I look forward to speaking to you guys next time. Okay. Mwah. Much love. Don't forget to comment and ask me any questions you want. You can also email me at hello@kristenbrown.org if you have any other questions. Oh, by the way, I keep forgetting to mention these things. If you guys haven't done this yet and you're really, truly interested in healing your self worth and your shame, I highly recommend that you go to my website and you download my 3 self-love meditations. They're each approximately 7.5 minutes. They're not long, but it is the language, the verbiage, and the music that the background accompanying it. I don't know if it's music, but it sounds to help you get into that theta brainwave state so that you can start implementing these new thoughts into your little noggin so that you can retrain yourself to think a different way. I have given these to. Yes, it is almost here. Yes, Little Iodine said she's looking forward to my book. It is almost here. The Recovering People Pleaser, a spiritual guide to reclaim your true worth and attract the love you deserve. And don't you guys love this butterfly? I told her I wanted a butterfly on the cover. And when they first made it, it was huge and right here in the middle. I said, just move it off to the little bit. But isn't she pretty? She's such a pretty butterfly. Okay, so that is the book. It's coming. I have reread it. I actually reread it last night, or parts of it. I was rereading it over. Thank you. Congratulations. Thank you. I was because this is a prototype copy. They send you the hard copy first, and the first one had some mistakes here and some mistakes here. So she sent me the copy again. And then I'm like, okay, I want to reread my book because guess what, you guys? I reread my books. Here's the first one, From Doormat to Sweet Empowerment. You can also find this one on Amazon. This is a really, really, really great one as well. They're both really amazing books. And although I allude to my tsunami in both of these, they both talk about different things. So you're not going to get the same book over and over again. Okay. Oh yeah. So if you guys haven't yet, I highly recommend that you go to my website and you sign up for and download the 3 self-love meditations. It's kristenbrown.org. Let me see. I think I can type it here. I'm going to do just that. KRISTENBROWN.org. That is my website. And the self-love meditations, I believe they're on the homepage. Or you can go to, here, let me do this. I don't know if I can do this. I've never put things into here. Let me see if it'll let me do this. www.org/ Let's see if you guys, yeah. Oh, it did become a link. KristenBrown.org self-love meditations. Again, there's 3 of them. They're about 7.5 minutes long. They are magnificent, and I'm getting a lot of great feedback from them. So if you guys haven't, they're going to accompany you on your journey. And like I said, they're only 7.5 minutes long, so they're great. The other thing is that I do have the Self-Love to Soulmate Masterclass. And I would like you to, if this is something you're considering, to, again, go to my website. You can go to Work With Me, scroll down, and you'll get the description of when you work with me. Or you can go to Self-Study, and you can buy it yourself for $97 and go through it yourself. But read the description of what this class is about, because I don't want people to have the impression self-love, oh, I got to go take a bath and then I'm going to find my soulmate. That's not what it is. It's the work. We are doing the inner work to heal from the inside out so that we can attract better people to us. And it's got 6 modules in it. The first 5 modules are doing the work. And I will tell you this without exaggeration, you guys, this is no exaggeration. People come to me in the first module and they're like, yeah, I feel a little bit better. By module 2, they're like flying in the door, whether it's Zoom or here, and they're like so excited because that is how quickly people are shifting just from the work in module 1. It's mind-blowing because we don't know how to do this work. We don't know what we're even supposed to be doing, but that's what I'm here for, is to guide you. It is literally the identical work that I did. It is what I did during the College of Kristen. That is how I designed my course. So you can buy it yourself for $97, take yourself through it. The links are in the worksheets to the audio recordings, or you can work with me, which you can find that under the Work With Me tab. Okay. So I just throw these things out there for you guys. The book is here. I do want to start a book study group, kind of some sort of empowerment group where we can talk live with each other and go through each chapter of my book so that, we can work it through this in real time, because guess what happens? Questions come up on our journeys. That's part of the whole thing. Questions come up. And so when you have me there as your mentor to help you through those questions, then, and not only that, it's really fun. It's fun, and we build a community. And any other communities that I have been in, like some type of groups, you get to know these people. In fact, one of the communities I was in, a gal I met in there, she is now my website designer, and I just absolutely adore her. So you get these, because you're bonding, you're bonding on this level of openness and vulnerability, and you're like, whoop, next thing you know, you got these amazing friends that come out of these communities. All right, Kristen Brown, blah, 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 blah. So I'll let you guys go. Thank you for being here. I appreciate and love you all. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up, and I will see you next time.